In this episode, I interview a dividend investor, author, public speaker, and a recognized authority on retirement. We talk about how to invest in today's economic climate and how to plan for your future. Hi, I'm Kanwal Sarai, and welcome to the Simply Investing Dividend Podcast. My guest today is Mike Drak, based out of Toronto. Mike has published 3 books on retirement. He spent 38 years in the financial services industry and retired at the age of 59. Today, he's working on his 4th book and training for the Ironman competition. We discuss investing on your own and how to plan for your retirement. You'll find today's episode both educational and inspiring. Mike, welcome to the Simply Investing Dividend Podcast.
It's nice to be here.
Great to have you today, Mike. You and I have chatted. I know it's been many years. Before we hit the record button. I can't remember. Maybe it was 6, 7, 8 years ago. We met in person at the Canadian Personal Finance Conference. But I've been seeing your updates on LinkedIn. You've been a very busy guy for many, many years. And we're going to get into all of that. You've got 3 books that are already out. You're working on number 4. And we're absolutely going to talk about that as well. But first, I want to talk a little bit about dividends. It sounds like you and I have the same passion for individual quality dividend stocks. And that's what our audience looks for, right? And they want to learn more how to invest in stocks, what to avoid, what to look for. So why don't we start off with that? And then we're going to get right into the retirement aspect of it. Because
Sure.
I think it's never too early to start talking about retirement, how to save for retirement, how to plan for it, and what do you do after retirement. So let's start with dividend stocks first. So Mike, tell us how you got started with dividend stocks in the beginning and your background.
I've worked in a bank for 36 years. So I was in the retail and I went in commercial and whatnot. But I also, I always loved personal investing. And I love talking to people about it. And I got into, building my own stock portfolio. I would pick individual stocks. I'd be looking for, high quality, good dividend paying stocks that would grow. And I collected them like people collect baseball cards. And, I just love watching them grow. And I would be like a Warren Buffett kind of investor. I'd sit on them long term and, just keep track of them, make sure they weren't, headed for any trouble or anything. But, if things were going good, I would just sit on the stock and just ride them out. And I still have some stocks I owned from years and years and years ago. So, I'm a big believer in it, and I've always done it, and will continue to do it. And one other thing too is, even at age 70, I'm like 99% invested in the market. So it's a little bit different from what other people were told, right? And I don't know, maybe I can tolerate risk, or I just enjoy the market, but I'm in quality. So I know if the market will go down, I should still get my dividends. I've tested it a few times when those major downturns. I've never really had a problem, so it's worked out well for me.
Yeah. So how do you define a quality dividend stock? What were some of the things that you looked for before you invested any money into a stock?
Well, I look for stocks that almost have a monopoly, I guess you could say, and there's barriers to entry, and they have pricing power and things like that. Like, I've always loved Canadian banks because they control the market. Other banks would have a very difficult time to get into there. So you have, I don't know now how many you have, maybe 6 or 7 major banks, but if they have any problems at all, they're like the government. Instead of raising taxes, they just raise service charges. So to me, that's quality. They're almost protected. They have pricing power, and I love Canadian banks. That's one of them, right? And then there's different sectors you look at, but it's the same thing too. Is, how long have they been in business, strength of management, how are they run, do they control costs and things like that. They're not out there going crazy, buying out all kinds of different companies and things like that. So, you hear this thing diversification, but I don't like it because I think you can get in a lot of trouble doing that, right? Stick to your knitting, stick to where you're making your money and try to make some more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you said about the banks. To me, they're almost like virtual monopolies. And
Oh,
if you
yeah.
look at the
Yeah.
telecom market, can you name? I guess everybody in Canada knows who they are:
Yeah.
Rogers, Bell, and Telus.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so it's funny. I've had a hard time investing in tech stocks.
Mhm.
It just doesn't fit my kind of investment philosophy. I missed out a lot,
Mhm.
but I can sleep at night, right?
Mhm.
And I don't understand them. And cryptocurrencies, what is that? I wouldn't put a nickel into it, right? But that's just
Yeah, so that's very important. I agree with what you're saying is to invest in what you know.
that's
And I,
right.
and I think it gives you, well, let me ask you if you agree then or not. You said you missed out on, I also, same thing. I don't invest in crypto or growth stocks or anything like that. And you said you might have missed out on some growth, but I think on the other hand, you've gained stability.
That's right. And I can sleep at night
Yeah.
because these stocks can move really fast,
Hmm.
and you really have to pay attention to them, right?
You
And
talked about the high tech, like the growth stuff.
yeah, I don't, and there's a new competitor can come in with a new product, and all of a sudden you have all this crazy competition, and
Mhm.
that price can really gyrate, and they're not paying much in the way of dividends either. So, uh, you know, if I can't, I like a simple business that I understand, and I can see how they make money, and if I can't see someone else that would challenge them for their market share, why wouldn't I stay on it? So I feel comfortable with it.
Mhm.
But tech, yeah, anything can happen in tech, and it will happen, right? And I get nervous. This concentration of so many people buying these shares and pushing up the prices, and you go, wow, it's going to correct at some point. I don't want to be part of it, right?
Yeah, I think when people tell me like, hey, you should have invested in so
Yeah.
and so stock.
Nvidia.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like the price doubles in like 30 days. Well, you know what? It can easily drop in 30 days.
Well, that's right. And you read these stories about people with the tax-free savings accounts, and they're saying mine's worth $3 million because I rolled it all into one stock,
Mhm.
and they got lucky.
Yeah.
And good for them, but no, that's not me, right? I'm not going to do it. That's almost gambling, right?
Mhm.
And it might work out. Maybe it will go the other way too. I don't know. But
Mhm.
yeah, I wish I had 3 million in my tax-free savings account.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's kind of like the Warren Buffett approach, sort of the slow and steady,
That's right.
invest in what you know,
Yeah.
and hold on to it. As long as the company is growing, the dividends are coming in, the dividends are growing, then just hang on.
And it has to be low cost, right? It's just, you don't want to be paying all these fees like crazy.
Hmm.
So, what you do is, you pay for one transaction. I'm going to buy X amount of shares, and there it is. And then just park it, and I'm good to go, right?
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Absolutely. And I want to go back to what you mentioned before, where you said you're almost 99% still in stocks.
Yeah.
And conventional wisdom says the older you get, you got to get out of equities, start putting the money into bonds,
That's right.
GICs, or term deposits.
Yeah.
So why haven't you done that? And you're in you're 70 now, right?
Yeah, because I don't know how long I'm going to live, right? I don't know. And I know it will cost me. There will be an opportunity cost if I pull back.
Hmm.
And I have faith in the market. I really do. Long term, right? I'm not going to spend all this money. So, the investments will be passed down, and, they'll have to deal with them. But yeah, why would I step back from growth, like quality growth?
Hmm.
And get the couple points on a term. I don't even know what they pay. I haven't been in a term deposit. But no, it's yeah. I believe in the market. Why wouldn't I, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And
I
I
don't need the money to live on.
yeah.
I can just live off the dividends.
Hmm.
So I don't need to sell the stock, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people are attracted to the like a GIC or a term deposit is going to be guaranteed. You're going to get your money back.
Well, it's safety, right?
It's low risk.
That's right. It is low risk, and yeah, but there's a cost to holding like a term deposit and getting a low return on it,
Yeah.
right? If you're going to be sitting on it, long term, and I see people. I've talked to people. They're sitting on $1 million or $2 million in a term deposit, and I'm going, wow, right? I don't know what the bank dividends are currently, but yeah, you could make a lot more on a bank dividend. Well, at some point, I'm not sure right now, so
Yeah.
I haven't been paying attention, so I apologize.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Like the interest rates had gone up before, but now we've had, I think it was 3 or 4 cuts recently.
Yeah,
So
they're
the
going to
interest
come
rates have
back.
not come back down again, right?
Yeah,
So if you're going to get 2% on a term deposit, well, I can get 5.5%
exactly,
in a bank stock.
exactly.
Yeah,
See, that doesn't make sense to me.
yeah,
And then I'll tell you, when I was looking, a few years back, when you could get a cheap mortgage with, I think you could get up to a 10-year term really cheap. In the same thing, and the bank stocks were paying over and above the cost of capital, right? And I'm going, well, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you take a mortgage out and buy the bank stocks, right? And a lot of people did. I think there's a term for it. I forget what it is when you leverage up a house and invest in the portfolio
yes,
stock.
yeah.
But
Um,
at that point, it made sense, right?
yeah.
And as long as you have faith in the bank stock and in the dividend.
Hmm. Yeah.
But sometimes you see banks, crazy like TD with the money laundering thing and all that. And I'm going, geez, where did that come from? But that's very rare, very rare.
That's extremely rare. And I think over the long term, if you're looking 10, 15, 20 years down the road, um,
Exactly.
I'm confident that the banks, will
So much,
continue to grow, right?
so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Um, so you mentioned before also, you're able to sleep at night. You're confident in the long-term market. Um, Now, as we're recording this, we're sort of the last week of February, heading into March,
Yeah.
and the biggest thing in the news right now is tariffs.
Oh,
The
geez.
U.S. is going to put tariffs on Canadian products. Canada's going to put tariffs on U.S. products, and everybody is saying in the media, inflation's going to go up again. The cost of goods is going to go up again. The stock market's going to crash. Are you concerned about any of that? Are you changing your approach to your savings?
I don't like it, but I'm not going to try to time the market. Like I said, I don't think my dividends will be affected by the market.
Mhm,
Even if there's a correction, I think there could be,
mhm.
because it's just crazy what's happening out there. But why would I bother? Because then I'd get anxious, right? Then I'd be saying, okay, let's sell all the bank stocks and let's buy your term deposit, right? And then if the market didn't correct and it kept going up, I'd be kicking myself.
That's right. Yeah,
And I don't want to do that.
yeah. And
And
you're
like I
incurring a
said, I
cost.
don't need to sell the stocks. The dividends are still going to be coming in.
Mhm.
And if you remember back to when was it? 2008, 2009,
Yep. The
uh,
financial crisis.
right? The meltdown.
Yep.
Canadian bank stocks weren't affected.
Hmm.
No dividends were cut back, and I think I bought Royal back then. I was getting 7 points on it, which was
Hmm.
pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so lesson learned. I guess we can look back because we've seen it happen before,
Mhm.
and we saw how the stocks performed. So I'm not concerned about it, but I don't like it. I think it's just crazy. I'm so happy to be Canadian. You have no idea. But I think we should do a reverse takeover. They won't even see it coming. Maybe a lot of Americans want to become Canadian right now.
Yeah. Um, so I think that's you and I are old enough to remember the tech bubble. in 99 and
Oh, yeah.
2000, Y2K, right? And you
Again,
mentioned,
that's why I don't like tech stocks, I guess, right?
there
Because
you
a lot
go.
of people got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, awful lot of people.
So I think having a long-term perspective and knowing our history of where the market has been, what it's gone through, I can feel confident that, yes, there's issues right now. I think there's always going to be issues. There's always something that comes up. But in the long term, the market should continue to do well because historically it's done really well.
No, I believe in it for sure.
Yeah.
I do. And every once in a while you'll see a great opportunity that will happen. So even during the financial crisis, while I put all my money, I bought a lot of Royal Bank. I was getting 7 points on it, and the stock did really well. But everyone got scared, and they all bailed out on it. And that's having faith in your investing ability, faith in the stock and the quality of the stock, and understanding the market and saying, okay, I'm prepared to do that. And the same thing too is when those interest rates really hit bottom, and we could have borrowed on lines of credit and whatnot and invest in the market. That was a great opportunity. You won't see that happen very often. So every once in a while, you never know when it's going to happen. It could happen in 5 years or whatnot, but there will be an opportunity where it's good to take advantage of it as long as you're investing in quality. That's the key for me, right? And to have that dividend there, because then you can sit on a stock knowing that you have cash flow coming in. To me, that's very important, right?
Yep, absolutely. And the reason we all do this, and I'm speaking for myself, our audience, and we teach about dividend investing. That's simply investing here. And the reason we do all of this is so that we're saving and investing for our future, our retirement.
That's right.
And you're in a position where you're retired, and you've written 3 books on it. You got book number 4 that you're working on right now. Why is it so important for people to start planning for retirement sooner than later?
Because you really have to have a good plan. And let's not call it retirement. Let's call it about a life plan.
Hmm.
And you really have to understand it, and you really want to know what you're going to do down the road. So you got to think in terms of your future self. What do I want to be doing in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? And I've been saying this a long time, but the banks don't like it. I say get rid of that word retirement.
Hmm.
Let's focus instead on achieving financial independence. So my theory is, you work in your primary career. It's a hard job, very demanding, but you're willing to do it because you're working towards financial independence. And once you get there, instead of retiring, you're going to use it as a stepping stone to something better. And this is where we get into people I like to refer to as late bloomers. So their plan is, okay, I'm going to work towards financial independence, and that will normally happen if you've done a good job in your 50s, early 60s. And at the same time, they've been working on a plan for what they want to do next. And it would be like a money-making venture. Maybe they want to monetize a hobby or passion they have. And then, okay, get away from that full-time job, jump into this new endeavor, something that you love to do, something that you can make some money at, and continue doing that for as long as you can. Because we enjoy the work then, right? It's like you're doing right now with your program, right? And it's just that's what I love to do. And then we call it our ikigai, our purpose in life.
Hmm.
And when you start doing things that you love to do at your own pace, life is really good. So why would you ever retire from it? It doesn't make any sense to people like me, right? And it's like Warren Buffett. He loves the investment stuff, right? And how old is he now? Is it in the 90s or
In his
something?
90s. That's right. Yeah. And
Look
he's
at
still
how much
working.
money he has. He doesn't need to work, but he loves doing it,
Mm.
right? And he lives in the same old house he always lived in. It's not about buying all kinds. It's to him, it's a game,
Mm.
and he loves playing it. And that's what we're saying. Okay, find something or create a business or do whatever, become a writer like I am, and enjoy doing that, right? Make a little money at it and just keep doing it. And that's when life really gets interesting and satisfying. And
Mhm.
that's what we're trying to coach people and show them how to do it, right?
So, Mike, then what's wrong with someone thinking, I'm going to work my entire life. I've got kids. I bought a house. All that stuff. The kids are out of the house now. They've got their own lives, and I'm going to work till I'm 65, and then I'm going to stop working, and I'm just going to sit on the beach all day.
Because
What is wrong with that line of thinking?
it's as boring as hell and it could end up killing
Mm,
you. And that's the trap.
mm.
People don't understand it because, these financial services industry, they keep showing these commercials on TV.
Freedom 55. Or
Yeah, Freedom 55, people on the beach, on the golf course, that are sailing on a yacht in the Caribbean, but they don't tell the real story.
Mm.
So many people retire, even if they have enough money, right? I did. And
So
when I left the
when did you retire, if you don't mind me asking?
age 59, I didn't really retire. I was pushed out of the bank, right? I received a package. But I
Yeah.
was glad because, to be honest, I was looking to leave anyways because
Mm.
the stress was getting to me, and I didn't want to do the job anymore. The bank has really changed,
Yeah.
and I said, I'm out of here. And luckily, before I left, they gave me a package, so I was ready to leave with nothing. But so I had it, with the severance and everything. I didn't have any money problems,
Mm.
and I thought, hey, this is going to be easy. Retirement is going to be wonderful. I don't have to go to work anymore. I don't have to listen to those bosses anymore, and the commute and all that's gone. And it was wonderful for a couple of weeks, and then I started experiencing retirement shock.
Mm. So did you have a plan at 59
No,
that this is
no,
what you're going to do, or there was no plan? It was
no,
just like,
it was unexpected. But if it was 62, which our regular retirement age is,
yeah,
my plan would have been to sit on the beach or play golf, just like those commercials. But
yes.
you see, that's what I bought into because that's why I was sold by the
Mm.
industry.
Yeah.
This is what retirement looks like. Well, it doesn't look like that, believe me. You need so much more than that.
Mm.
And I'm a grower. I like to keep learning new things, experiencing new things. I'm a big giver. I love helping people. And if I can't find ways to do that, I'm in trouble. So I remember I was sitting at home one morning. My wife was still working. She left to work. I was all by myself. All my friends were still working.
Mm.
And I remember sitting on the couch trying to find something interesting to watch on TV. And I have one of those fancy, smart TVs and 500 stations. I couldn't find anything. I was just bored out of my mind. I was getting miserable. And I didn't know what to do. And I got really frustrated because no one could understand what I was going through,
Mm.
right? Everyone thought, even my wife, how can Mike be unhappy because he doesn't have to work anymore?
That's right. And you had the financial security. So
Yeah,
people, why aren't you happy?
exactly. And
Yeah.
the reason is because I wasn't working anymore.
Mm.
See? But the thing is, I couldn't work in a bank again because I didn't like it.
Mm.
That was the time I had to find out what kind of work that I really wanted to do, that I would enjoy doing. And I went through that process and finally figured it out. But I tested a couple of things. And then when I finally hit it and it clicked, life's really good. But, I had a hard time. My father suffered from retirement shock too. It took him about a year before he could right the ship. And the thing that saved him was he got a part time job, a simple part time job working at a pet food shop,
Mm.
helping a young guy that just bought this franchise start the business up. And my father's job was to take the orders and deliver pet food to people that couldn't come in the shop, elderly people that have pets and whatnot. And at the same time, he mentored the young person because my father worked for in the accounting department at CN Telecommunications. He mentored him and taught him how to run the business. And the young guy would, thank him, and it gave my father a chance to use the skills he had developed over the years. And hearing someone say thank you for mentoring me, and people thank him for dropping off the pet food at their apartment, made him feel like $1,000,000. And he wasn't there to make the money. It was to give him purpose. And it made him happy. And then no more retirement shop. Now, I had another friend that drank himself to death. And, we call it long form suicide, right? And it happened to him. He couldn't find purpose. He left his job behind. He moved out of town where he had a bunch of friends into a smaller town up north to cut expenses, and ended up killing him because he self-isolated. So these are things that, people don't talk about, and it's so important to be aware of it. But I really like pre-planning in your 50s, have a game plan to become a late bloomer and go on to something really good and keep doing that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, it could be paid or it could be volunteer. It doesn't matter, or a combination of them. I do both myself.
So, Mike, how does somebody, and maybe this is a big question, how does somebody find their passion and their purpose?
In my second book, Retirement, Heaven and Hell, we outline a process. It's called Ikigai. Mm-hmm. And Ikigai's got 3 components, really. You figure out what skill sets you have that you've developed over the years, or there's natural skill sets we're born with too. Yeah. And then you look at those, and then you look at your passion. What do you enjoy doing? And then you look at the third one is, what can I make money at doing, or what kind of problem could I solve? But if you don't want to make money, you can get rid of that one and just add, okay, what can I volunteer at and help people? Right? It's a fascinating process, and I used it. I'll give you a quick example. I love fishing. Been fishing all my life. I know it well. I've read every book on it. I have a strong passion for it. And I love servicing people. I love helping people figure things out. And then, I was playing around with the Ikigai, and I said, you know what? I could get a job at Bass Pro Shops in the fishing department. I would love working in the fishing department, seeing all the new products and whatnot. I would love talking to customers coming in that had questions, and I could tell them exactly what product they needed to buy. I guarantee you I would be Bass Pro Shops' best salesperson because I wanted to be there. I wanted to do the work. I would love working with the clients. And it was a perfect fit, but then I turned it down because I didn't want to work weekends. And I didn't want to have a boss anymore. That was important to me too. I wanted my autonomy. I always had a boss. And even though it was a real good fit, it made sense. I didn't fall through. But that's how simple it works, right? And there's more examples in the book. Now, the good thing is, I'm going to advertise a little bit here. I've decided to give all my books away for free. And if people want a copy, they just go to the boomingencore.com website, and they can download the books there. So we have 2 of the books available for download right now: Retirement, Heaven or Hell, or Longevity Lifestyle by Design.
Okay.
Yeah, I encourage the people to download them and read them. They're very good books, and they'll teach you how to find purpose, and it will really open your eyes, and it'll also teach you about retirement lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And it's it's free. What else can I say?
We'll put the link in the description below once we publish this episode. But then the question that comes to mind is, Mike, why do you want to give your books away for free?
Well, two reasons. One reason is, I suffered from retirement shock and it wasn't a lot of fun. And it took me a lot of time to figure things out. And I don't want people to experience, the stress and anxiety. And I want to save them a lot of time. As a matter of fact, I want to prepare them before they actually retire. And that's why I urge people in their 50s to read these books, because they'll understand what causes retirement shock and how it can be avoided and how to design a game plan for once they leave their primary career. It's very important. It takes time to do these things. You cannot automatically fall into a great retirement, no matter how much money you have. Some people can manage it, but a lot of people don't. I know a lot of people that have a lot of money and they're just miserable because they have no purpose now. They left it behind. They lost their identity. They lost their way of achieving, right? They've lost their status. And then, it's caused them a lot of problems, right? So it's important to understand these things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in your book, Retirement, Heaven or Hell, you cover the 9 principles for designing your ideal post-career lifestyle. I like that. So we're not going to call it retirement, post-career lifestyle.
That's right.
You mind sharing some of the principles with our audience?
Yeah, really, I called them in that book. It's funny when you write books because your ideas evolve and then you go and you do a revision of the book. So I call them retirement principles, but really they're longevity principles.
Hmm.
These are principles to follow that will help you live longer and healthier than most people. And these are the things I follow and I think about them on a daily basis, really.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look, one of the key principles is relationships. Having strong relationships with family and friends. It's so important because research has proven it can reduce mortality risk up to 40%. And one of the risks here are, especially with men, when they leave work behind, they leave most of their work friends behind.
Hmm.
And men, for whatever reason, don't have a lot of friends outside the workplace. Unlike women, they're smarter women. But so they have a hard time, gaining new relationships. They're not good at it. They really depend on their spouses to say, okay, you plan the events, the entertainment, and the mingles and all that, and I'll just show up. But yeah, they have a hard time with it, and that can lead to retirement shock in itself. So, it's something for them to be aware of. So, it's not going to cost them, mentally and physically.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is finding new purpose. It's so important. We know people that find new purpose can live up to 7 years longer than people that just retire to nothing. So it's very important. And the quality of your purpose matters. And people can have more than one purpose, right? It can be simple purpose, like taking care of a garden, or more complicated, where maybe you want to start a new business or something like that. But it's very important to find new purpose. You cannot retire to a work without meaning and purpose. You want to stay relevant. People don't understand this, right? And then it's just, small things like having a positive attitude. We know people that have a positive attitude about aging live up to 7.5 years longer.
Hmm.
We know from the famous nun study that happy nuns live longer than unhappy nuns. And it holds true for everyone. If you're a happy person with a positive attitude, you're going to live longer than most, right? So it's important to know these different longevity principles and practice them on a daily basis, right? We're very big into exercise.
Hmm.
So we're talking to people and we're saying, look, you should go to the gym. You should be in that weight room 3 times a week, because lifting weight's important, because you got to think about your future self. You don't want to start the decay process, right? It comes back to use it or lose it, right? If you're not using your muscles and your body, you're going to age quicker, right? And you want to be able to play with the grandkids. You want to be able to travel not get winded walking upstairs and things like that. Especially if you go to Italy, there's a lot of walking up and down, right? You want to stay vibrant and you want to stay healthy and vital until the last days, right? Right now there's like a 11-year gap between health span and lifespan in Canada, which is crazy because that's going to affect the quality of your last 10 years of your life. And we don't want to see that happen to people. So that's why, we teach them about the longevity principles, encourage them to follow them on a daily basis, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
there's more to that, right? But, it's all so important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you are a great example of this because you are training for the Ironman
Yes,
coming up in August in Ottawa.
yeah. It's kind of crazy, but really my goal is to be a good retirement role model,
Hmm.
right? So now you have a 7-year-old that is a little bit overweight. To be honest, I'm in the obese category right now. But for the next 6 months, I'm really going to work hard and I'm going to do all the training. And yeah, we're going to Ottawa and see what happens. But it's going to be very exciting. It's going to force me to get my health back, which is really good because many writers, we sit at our desk all day long. It's not good for us. And I can show other people what what people are capable of, in their 70s and 80s, and I want to carry my health through as far as I can. So if the audience is interested, they can go on Instagram and under retirement /rebel, they can follow my journey, and it's going to be exciting, I guarantee you. And hopefully it will get done. I want to get the finisher's medal, but to be honest, I'm slow. I got this new nickname. They call me Turtle Man, but even turtles beat the rabbit once in a while, right?
Yeah, that is great. It's so inspiring for everybody, even people my age, people in their 40s, 30s should all be inspired by this. The
Well,
fact
yeah.
that you've taken on this goal that you want to hope to achieve in August, right?
Well, what we're doing is we're breaking these age barriers and these stereotypes of old people, and we're saying no, it's not like that. It can be anything you want it to be. And it's amazing some of the things, these retirement, I would call them retirement rebels, because they ripped up the old rule book on what retirement's supposed to look like, and they're doing all kinds of crazy things. I look and I go, wow. And it's not just physical things, right? People are going back to school in their 80s, becoming lawyers. Can you believe that? And they're starting businesses and they're volunteering and doing all kinds of wonderful things there, and they're excited about it. Because one of the most important things for us is to spend our time making great memories. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're going to be left with, right? And that's what we want to be working on continuously, and memories and having fun and taking some risk and doing these challenges, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, this is so important, regardless of, I'm going to say to all of our listeners, regardless of if you're 5 years away from retirement or you're 20 years away from retirement, we are all, as human beings, we're all going to get old.
That's right.
We're all going to get old. And everything you're saying resonates so much about preparing ahead of time, having a plan in place.
That's right.
Um, the question I have for you is, it's so easy for all of us, when you're working, because you've gone to school, you've gone to, if you either college, university, or you picked a trade, and then you got a job, and then you worked for 30 plus years in that job.
That's right.
That becomes your identity, right? If someone comes up to you and they say, oh, well, who are you, or what do you do? Right away, you're going to give off a job title,
Yeah.
right? How do you separate that from who you truly are when you stop working?
Well, I had a problem with it in the beginning because people that knew me before as a banker, they automatically assumed I was retired.
Hmm.
And when they would say, "How's retirement?" I said, "What do you mean? I'm not retired." Well, they would say, "Well, what do you mean?"
Hmm.
Well, I became a writer.
Hmm.
I became a public speaker, right? I started my own small business, right? Publishing business. And I'm going to attempt an Ironman in 6 months. So it's, I'm not retired. I'm anything
Hmm.
but I'm not a banker anymore. You see? So, you got to watch that retirement, like tag. But having said that, some people are very happy being referred to as retired. The people that just want to sit back and take it easy. That's great, and I have a lot of respect for that. If that's what they want, that's great. But it won't work for me because my type of personality. I'm a grower and I'm a giver,
Hmm.
and I got to keep growing and learning new things, experiencing new things, and I need to help a lot of people. That's important to me. And I finally found ways I can do those things, and life has never been better. But yeah, you can't call that retired, right? It's
No.
something else, right? So I just laugh kind of when they say it. I go, nah, I'm not. But I don't really know what to say to them. I don't
Yeah.
want to go through that. But I don't like saying I'm a banker. When I was a banker, I remember I would go to events, and you'd have to write your occupation. I would put baker.
Baker. Yeah.
That's
So it's great because you've got more of a. If I can hear it in your voice, you have more of a purpose
Oh
now,
yeah, for sure, for sure.
right? And you know, you tell me if this makes sense. Would it be fair to say that your job satisfaction or the work satisfaction today is higher than it was when you were working at a bank?
Much higher, much,
Okay.
because my work I control. I have my autonomy,
Hmm.
and my work reflects my values. So I'm in total alignment, and I only do what I enjoy doing.
Hmm.
And when you can match those up, life is really good.
Yeah.
But many times in our primary career is, we're not who we really are. I pretended to be a banker. I was never really a banker, right? But I needed the job. I needed to make the money. So I spoke like a banker. I walked like a banker, but I didn't have their values. I really didn't,
Hmm.
right? So they did some things I didn't like, and I had a hard time with it, right? Because I really care about people. Like,
Hmm.
they want to drive up the share price, and I'm saying, well, no, we got to help these people because they're struggling because we're in a recession, right? And many times I would argue with credit department about, hey, I would have a credit application down for someone, and I'm fighting for the client. I'm defending them and everything. But the people in credit department, they didn't care, right? It's just, to them, it's just numbers. And I
Numbers.
think people are more than just numbers. And so I always had that struggle. And it got me in trouble more than once, right?
Hmm.
What can I do?
So, Mike, let's talk about the three books that you've already written. Can
Right.
you tell our audience a little bit about each of the books?
Okay, Victory Lap Retirement was the first book that I came out with. I wrote that with Jonathan Chevreau. And really, in that book, we came up with this new model to say, okay, let's not focus on retirement. Let's look at, chasing after financial independence. And once we get there, let's use as a stepping stone and let's do something else. And let's continue on working, part-time basis. So we could have more leisure in our lives, more time in our lives for other things, but still have that work component because there's a lot of healthy aspects attached to working. It keeps you, involved, keeps your mind sharp. It delivers on the relationship side, which I said was so important. It forces you to keep learning new things, right? So there's a lot of positive things attached to working later in life. And we're seeing it in Japan because they're ahead of the age curve. Most of the people in their 70s are still working. And some are doing it for the money, but many people are doing it for the purpose. because they feel that it helps them live a healthy life. And so that's what that book is all about there, to say we're making a case for continuing to work. It was really funny because I got a fight with the publisher. I remember when I sent the first draft in, and she called me about a week later, and she was all excited and said, "Do you know what you did?" And I said, "Yeah, I wrote this retirement book." And she goes, "No, you wrote a book on not retiring." I still laugh when I think about it. But yeah, that's our case for not to retire in the traditional.
Yeah. And then what about the next one? Retirement. Was that the next one? Retirement, heaven,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
okay.
So that's where I went kind of deep into myself about my own personal story. There's many
Mm.
examples in there, and I tried to explain my thought process to say, okay, I explained how I was hit with retirement shock and what caused it and all that, and how I figured out how to get out of retirement hell and how to design a life that would work for me. And in there, I tried to make the point that not all retirees are the same, right? We're different individuals. We have different personality types and we have different needs. And we need to find new ways of satisfying those needs in retirement, or we're going to be in trouble. And the funny thing is that most of these needs were satisfied through the work we were doing. Our primary work delivered on these needs. And when that work's gone, we need to find a new source. And if we don't, we're going to be in trouble. And that's where a lot of people have a problem. And then in the book I said, okay, I got that. Let's start looking forward. Let's start focusing on my future self. What do I need to do to live a purposeful, fulfilling life and to be healthy and live a long time, right? And that's where those retirement principles came from.
Mm-hmm.
The third book, Longevity Lifestyle by Design, is a further refinement of the ideas and went deeper into retirement lifestyle design, how to design a lifestyle that will work for you, just you, not other people, but specific to you, which is very important.
Mm.
And then I had other contributors come in to give me their thoughts, experts in retirement, to give their thoughts on retirement. I wanted to capture everything, and I was just going to finish it there. And I thought, okay, this is good. I covered everything off. And of course, a new idea evolves, and I said, okay, I want to go deeper in the process of finding your ikigai, your purpose in life, and after leaving your primary career, I want to go deeper in that process and show people and walk them through it, and say, here you go, take the book, spend some time, and it will work with you if you want to put the time and effort into it, right?
Now,
So
is that
I
a
say,
Japanese?
there you go. What?
Is that a Japanese word?
Yes,
Ikigai?
it is. Yeah,
It is. Eh? Okay. I thought I
yeah.
heard that before.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I fell in love with the Japanese kind of culture, and they have some really kind of neat words, right?
Mm.
Are very meaningful.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, so I wanted to do that, and then I'm done because
Mm.
I read a lot of books on ikigai, and I just feel they didn't go deep enough,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't practical enough for what I want.
Yeah. So is
And
this book number 4? Is that the one you're working on now?
and that will be the final one. That's
Okay.
it.
Do you have a
Done.
title for that one?
No, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
But it's gonna be about ikigai and how to use ikigai to find new purpose,
Mm-hmm.
either paid work or volunteer work.
Okay.
It will be very well defined, right? And go deeper in the rest of the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's great. Mike, where can the audience get in touch with you if they want to learn more about you? If they want to get a hold of, you said some of the books. Where's the best place to find you online?
well, they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm there. They can follow me on Instagram where I told you. They can download the books at boomingencore.com. So the 2 books are there. Longevity Lifestyle by Design. Oh, no, sorry. Victory Lap isn't there yet, but it will be there in probably by October.
Okay.
And so all 3 books will be available for download. If they want, they can send me an email. You can then maybe just post it on your site, my email,
Okay.
and send me a note. But yeah, everything's free. So there you go.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, we'll put those links up in the description below in our video. Mike, I want to thank you so much for taking your time today to share with us your insight, your experience, because you've gone through all of this before.
My nightmares.
I think it's so inspiring. I think it's going to inspire a lot of people. It's inspired me to kind of think more about, where do I want to be? Kind of make my own roadmap in life,
Oh,
uh,
for sure, for
as
sure.
opposed to just let things happen to you. So
But
thank
I think you would really love the Ikigai book when it's finished. I think for you, because I can see you already bought into a lot of this,
you.
right? And I think that would be the icing on the cake for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to it. I think that'll be awesome. So thank you again, Mike, for your time. Really appreciate it today.
All right. Have a wonderful day.